Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. The movie I want to talk about today comes from a very recent Fun City boutique label release of a double bill called Fatal Femmes. And the first of the movies is NEIGE, starring Juliet Berto, and the second film is The Bitch, starring Isabelle Huppert. And very nice slipcase cover art. This is Juliet Berto. She was not just the star of the film, she also co-directed. And this is Christine Pascal, who directed the other feature film. So very nice cover art, and we get some embossing of the title, also of the earring here, and also of this dagger. And then on the actual case, physical case, Fun City offers reversible art, which I did in fact reverse. So here we have what I imagine to be original poster art of NEIGE on the front, and then La Garce, it's called here, directed by Christine Pascal. And I think there's another, perhaps in English language countries, it's called The Man Hurts. Or The Man Hunt, I'm sorry. I have not seen the second film yet, so this video is going to be on NEIGE, which is from 1981, the second film from 1982. So we have early French 1980s sort of neo-noir type films. And NEIGE is a portrait of Pigalle, the section of France that's mostly associated with the Moulin Rouge and in hundreds of years ago, artistic, sort of bohemian section, but full of risque shows. In 1981, it's a bit different. It's perhaps a bit seedier, but it's still a very vibrant and area that has lots of bars, marketplaces. It has it still has nightclubs with strip shows, and the film is really a kaleidoscope of this area in the 1980. It filmed in 1980. It's a multicultural world now, so it's very much refugees. From Algeria, from blacks from Africa and from the Caribbean, and we get very quick impressions of all the characters here. There's not what you would call backstories. We have to sort of piece together who these people are and what their relationships might be. Juliet Berto is playing a bartender. She seems to have lots of friends. She sort of represents the maternal instinct in this film, because she's very worried about a teenager he appears to be a Creole teenager, and that she has helped to bring up. She feels like he's her younger brother, or perhaps even the mother figure to him. He is now a dope dealer, and she's worried about him. And then we have the paternal in this film as well, a Creole street preacher, Jocko, and he also is obviously, as a preacher, he's very concerned about the people. He's streetwise, and he knows where some connections can be. And then there's a third connections could be as far as the procurement of drugs. Now, the three main characters are not involved with drugs, although the elements of the plot force them to be in the final act of the film. And then we have also Anita's lover, who is also a refugee, a Hungarian refugee. I'm not sure exactly what he does in this as far as making a living, but we do see him in a boxing gymnasium. But it's a very heavily populated film. It's mostly outdoors, the city streets, teeming with people, marketplaces. So, and as I said, refugee groups, drug dealers, junkies that are very much strung out and panicking to get their next fix, and sex workers, and also strippers, but also transgender sex workers, and really the film is kind of like a crime drama. Despite all this kaleidoscopic perhaps sort of documentary feel of this is what Pigalle, one of the most famous areas in Paris, this is what it was like in 1980. And this film has this very much the impact of it, or the interest that anybody would have, is what did it look like 40 years ago? I have no idea what it looks like today, but we do get a view of it from 40 years ago. And so a crime drama develops, and because there is a police crackdown on drugs. So Bobby, the young boy that Anita is trying to protect, is now in imminent danger. Although he feels no danger for it, Anita does. she understands the danger that he's in. So we get very much genre conventions within this film, including a rather pedestrian chase scene that we've probably seen hundreds of times. So this combination of this crime and intersecting with this crime drama, intersecting with a kind of look at a community of outcasts, very much reminded me of some French films from the 1930s, where you would have a kind of poetic realism, which is not here. This is a collaborative work. Berto was working with her partner in real life, Jean-Henri Roger. He was the co-director of this film, and with a crime novelist by the name of Marc Villard. So this is very much a collaborative nature to the film, and also an improvisational element to it. There are some scenes you can see where, especially Juliet Berto, may well be improvising in certain scenes, and this harkens back to Juliet Berto's work, especially previous work as an actress, especially with Jacques Rivette, where many of his films, or all of his films, basically are collaborative efforts. But she was in a couple of his films, but this is a movie I always want to tout because it's one of my favorite films of the 70s, Celine and Julie Go Boating, in which she collaborates along with her co-star with Jacques Rivette in just a delightful movie that is pretty much indescribable. So I think she carries on that kind of sense of collaboration with her workers, with her co-workers or co-stars, perhaps, as she did with Rivette. And Berto, too, was very much interested in politics. So her career as an actress also harkens back to Jean-Luc Godard. She was in, I think, 3 Godard films, including Weekend. Very much involved in all the events of 1968, when young people believed that the world was actually going to change before the forces of reactionaryism quickly dispelled this dream. So this politics, this kind of radical politics, is expressed here, I suppose, and certainly via the commentary by Sam Dagan, where she sees that the drugs involved here, which is heroin, neige meaning snow, meaning a name for heroin, is kind of like a liberation. As part of the community, it's a sickness, and the community has to pull together. So when this drug is absent from these drug users' lives, they they suffer, and here's where the maternal and paternal instincts, the white savior, Sam Deegan, very much confronts this idea of the white savior, although the preacher is a Creole. But it's and Juliet Berto would go on to make 2 more films. She acted in films, but she also directed 2 more films. But she died tragically. She was only 43 years old when she died. I think about 8 years after the making of NEIGE. So I mentioned the Sam Deegan commentary. She goes far afield. This is she gives you the history of the French New Wave, the history of Jacques Rivette. She goes far afield from the movie itself. But she talks about a lot of interesting things. So you can agree and disagree with her analysis of the movie. As most commentaries go, she thinks everything in the film is wonderful. You might not agree with her, but she certainly states her case well. I really enjoyed her. I always enjoy her commentaries. So overall, a good start. I enjoyed this film, probably less for its genre conventions and more from just its as I say, the word I'm using is kaleidoscopic view of an area of French of Paris, that the Pigalle area, which in film you could go back to see the recreation of this area, in French films and even some American films. So, and some terrific performances as well. And Juliet Berto, I think, is really a figure in French cinema, especially from a feminist point of view, who is indeed very important. So next up, La Garce. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but we'll go with the cover. We'll go with the title and the cover art, which is The Bitch. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.